told you that everything about our modern laundry system is absolutely 100% stupid, and you're probably walking around with a poopy t-shirt. Would you believe me? We are going to be talking about modern laundry practices versus historic laundry practices, and what makes them different, what makes them similar, and what makes historic laundry practices actually superior to modern laundry practices. I will be speaking about modern laundering techniques very much from the North American perspective and from the North American experience. We're going to be talking about laundry in 3 sections. Laundry from the point of clothing integrity and clothing maintenance, the effectiveness of laundry practices from the historic perspective versus modern perspective. When I say historic practices, what I mean is basically pre-1920. Part 3. Environmental impact. I will put chapters below, so if you are wanting to go to a particular chapter, you can go and rewatch it or jump to whatever you find more interesting. This video probably will not be for the faint of heart, for those who get icked out, germaphobes, anything like that, just so you know. I am sick right now. I did get it. I'm on like day 12 and my voice still hasn't fully come back. So I got my lemon, I got my honey, I got my throat coat so we can get through this. I apologize if my voice is a little annoying to listen to. Before we get into it, we do have a sponsor for this week's video, and that is Harry's.
Today's sponsor is Harry's, and not just Harry's razors, but Harry's also body wash and shave gel and more. While they started as a razor brand producing high quality, German-made, awesome razors at really affordable prices, they are also body wash and other self-care items. And because it is officially back to school season, Harry's has released some excellent bundles for you guys to take advantage of. You can get the Big Shave and Body Set, which is a classic Truman handle and ocean, 8 German engineered blades, the 1 foaming shave gel, and 3 body washes, the Stone, the Redwood, and the Fig. The Big Shave and Body Set is going to be $41. It's normally $55. Or if that's still like you don't need that much, you can get the Big Shave Set. We get the razor blade handle, 16 German engineered blades, and then 2 foaming shave gel. To get the Big Shave Set is going to be $36. It is normally $52. They sent me the big bundle. It's called the Mammoth Bundle. You get the classic razor in blue, 16 replacement blades, 6 body washes, and 2 shave gels. Now you might be like, Abby, there's only 5 body washes and 1 shave gel in this collection. Where are your other ones? My mom was here and she went, yee, don't mind if I do. So now my mom, Snother Susan, is enjoying the Harry's body wash and shave foam gel. The body washes are also made out of really gentle ingredients that won't strip your body of its natural oils. The scents are great. They're super pleasant and not overwhelming in any capacity. And also like they're just nice and sudsy and bubbly, and like it's a good wash. So this Mammoth set is normally $97, but with the back to school special going on, you can get it for $68. Literally, guys, this is like a year's supply of body wash. Like they said this to me and I was like, oh my gosh. If you are someone who likes to shave your body for any reason whatsoever, cause it's a judgment free zone here, you can get some excellent Harry's razors for inexpensive. Just go ahead and use the link in the description. Go to www.harrys.com/abbycox and you can get up to 30% off the Big Shave Set, the Big Shave and Body Set, or the Mammoth Bundle. Thanks again to Harry's for sponsoring this video. Part 1, clothing integrity. In the past, clothing was much more expensive because textiles were much more expensive. So labor was cheap, but fabric was very expensive throughout basically all of history until very, very recently. And we see this inexpensive clothing in the 21st century as actually a huge problem. We have mass clothing consumption, we are throwing clothing away, we are treating it as disposable versus as something that should be valued and cared for and respected and invested in. How our ancestors approached laundering was not necessarily just to clean the clothing. That was a huge part of it, but it was also how to maintain the clothing. Where today, because of how cheap clothing is, how we consume clothing, it is much more disposable. And so we don't launder our clothing necessarily with the intent to preserve the life of the garment. And we can see this honestly in just a simple t-shirt. I mean, how many times have you gone
to the store and you've bought a t-shirt. It can be a cheap t-shirt that you get from a big box store. It can be a designer, nice t-shirt that costs way too much freaking money for what it is. And you wear it once, and then you have to wash it because you've worn it against your bare skin, and you have to wash it, and then you put it in the wash and it comes out, and then you have these tiny ass little holes all over your t-shirt, and you don't know why they're there. You didn't get your t-shirt stuck on anything. It didn't get caught. You didn't tear that hole in it. It just appeared after laundry. And now you're like, okay, well, do I wear like this shirt with holes all over it? And I think a lot of us do. Or then eventually you have to throw it away. And then basically you've only been able to wear that shirt once. Literally the way we washed that garment, it destroyed it. With the idea of clothing preservation in mind, our ancestors wore layers. Your base layer for women, it's gonna be a shift or a chemise. For men, it's gonna be a shirt. And that layer was traditionally made out of linen or cotton. And it was going to be traditionally white as well. And that's really important. The function of that undergarment, that undershirt or that undershift is actually not only to help keep your physical human body clean, it's also a protective layer for your outer clothing. We are filthy. We as humans, we are dirty animals, baby. Like we're ucky, gross. As we live in our clothing, we are literally producing filth and dirt and germs and oil and uck. This filth that we produce as humans has actually been like a point of study in space programs, because obviously when we have astronauts go out into space, like hygiene is a big thing, and keeping your body clean and keeping your clothes clean is a huge part of that. Because it's not like you can just like throw your clothes in the wash, right? I never thought that I would be reading like 1960s like Russian cosmonaut studies, but here I am doing that for this video. And it's in measurements that I don't fully understand the process for, but it gets to the gist of it. This was translated into English and published in 1965. The research was done in 1963. Considerable study has been devoted to the functions of the sweat glands up to now, but comparatively little to those of the fat glands. A.M. Phenoganov. According to Phenoganov, the amount of fat formed in an exposed portion of the human skin during 5 24-hour periods reaches 440 to 470 milligrams centimeters squared, which is far in excess of the initial amount present. While in the case of covered portions of the skin, even for a period up to 7 days, the accumulation of the fat on the surface varies little, since it is largely absorbed by the covering cloth. Following 7 days, however, skin fat will increase as the absorptive qualities of the cloth become exhausted. So what that means is that our clothes that we wear against our skin are literally absorbing our fat and our oil, like the oils from our skin, right? And after 7 days, if you wear the same garment for 7 days, it is basically completely clogged with human filth.
Uh-oh, that's no way to treat your clothes.
Linen was the fabric used for our undergarments. It was in the mid-19th century that cotton really took over as the preferred fabric for our underclothing. This is in part from a really excellent marketing strategy by United States because of the invention of the American cotton gin in the 1790s and chattel slavery. Cotton has a really ugly past, and it has a pretty ugly present. If you want to know more about cotton, Nicole actually has a great video about it. Linen is actually stronger when it is wet than when it is dry. So linen can physically handle the aggressive laundering techniques that our ancestors would do to clean our body linens. Wool cannot be aggressively laundered. Silk is weaker when it is wet. Silk, just in general, should not get wet. Our man-made fibers, polyester, rayon, nylon, they're super weak when they're wet. Rayon also is really weak when it gets wet. All of it weaker when it's wet. Linen, however, is stronger. Linen's also like aggressively antibacterial. So again, our ancestors didn't necessarily know that, but wearing linen against your body is literally one of the best things that you can do. Here's a chart about different types of fiber and their bactericidal capabilities. And you can see that linen is upwards to 99.8% antibacterial. for multiple strains of bacteria, and cotton is like maybe 40. This is why our ancestors wore multiple layers, like even in the summer, because this linen body layer was not only easier to keep clean and to sanitize, but it also helped keep our bodies actually cleaner and more sanitized as well. Historic laundry practices is broken up into two basic concepts. We have laundering, and then we have refresh and maintenance, okay? Stain removal. Basic laundering focuses on a multi-step process of submerging the linens, whether it's body linens, table linens, or bed linens, scrubbing them with soap, rinsing them, and then boiling them, bleaching them out, color maintenance, and then laying them out into the sun to dry. Our ancestors, even though like they didn't understand things like bacteria, they understood that the base layer of clothing against your body was the one that really needed to be washed. The other half is about maintaining the expensive textiles that the fashionable clothes were made out of. Stain removal is going to depend entirely on what the stain is and what the garment is made out of. Skirts, waistcoats, coats, bodices never really touched bare skin. The laundering process was more about surface issues, not internal issues, right? In housekeeping books and manuals and in laundry manuals, what you're gonna see are recipes on how to remove stains. The chemical compounds of these stain removers changes throughout history. So when you're reading 18th century laundering books, you're gonna be seeing a lot more natural lemon juice, Fuller's Earth, chalk for stain removal, where if you go to the Edwardian era, you're seeing things like kerosene.
When a fire starts to burn, right, and it starts to spread, she's gonna bring that attitude home.
Gin was also a laundry solvent. So maybe you get like a massive ink stain, like on a skirt or something, right? And you've tried every possible way to remove that stain safely from the garment, but it's just not coming out. Then you're gonna see more drastic measures being used, which is either cutting out the stain, like physically removing it and then putting in a patch, or actually re-dyeing the garment to make it darker to hide the stain. That's how valuable clothing was, is that literally like if you had a stain you could not get out, you wouldn't just throw the garment away. You would literally cut it out and patch it or dye it a different color to hide the stain, so that way the garment is still wearable. Modern laundry, as we've kind of touched on, doesn't actually care about clothing integrity or longevity. There is a shift now happening, of course, but like, let's not deny that like we look at this, we don't think about like, time to like over dye this dress and give it a new life type of thing. Like that's not what happens for the basic general public. We also wear really delicate fabrics directly against our bodies. We wear underwear to protect our private bits from our pants, but do we really do that to protect our clothing from ourselves? Or do we do that because society has told us to? Or do we do that because we're protecting our private bits from our clothing? My worldview has changed. Onto that, when we talk about laundry, we're usually talking about taking the clothes that we've worn against our skin that are weakened when they are wet, putting them into a washing machine that may or may not have an agitator, and then washing them at a questionable temperature, because really, and then throwing them, a lot of them, into the dryer and then just hoping for the best. Some of us have been taught to do laundry a bit more better, but ultimately when you come down to it and you look at the data, people put their clothes in the washing machine, they put their clothes in the dryer, and then they go, why is it ruined? Damn it, I liked this shirt. Have to go buy a new one. Shucks. And now, when we look at our washer and dryers, I don't think this really comes as a surprise to anyone, but they're extremely hard on our clothing. Front-loading washers are becoming more popular in the United States, and they're becoming more readily available. But damn, that agitator life that we all lived throughout like most of our existence, hard on clothes. One of the biggest takeaways that I have gotten out of this research is how important water is and what type of water we are using when we are doing our laundry. And I was reading in the historic manuals about how important it was to use rainwater to wash your clothes. If you couldn't use rainwater and you had to use water from a different source, that you would have to use more detergent to soften the water so that way it would actually effectively clean your clothing. Do you ever think about whether or not your water is actually soft enough to clean your clothes today? Do you know whether or not you have hard or soft water in your house? According to this map that I found, most of the United States has hard water. And hard water is awful for your clothes. Hard water is why your whites get dingy. Hard water is why your clothes never really feel clean when they come out of the wash, because hard water, the minerals in hard water actively mess up your clothes. Our washing machines also do not soften water. You actually are supposed to use detergent to soften the water, but we weren't told that. And now we have like high efficiency washers where you're supposed to use like high efficiency detergent. And yes, like water softening is brought into the equation when it comes to detergent, but hard water is also linked to skin irritation and skin issues, whether it's allergies or eczema flare-ups. And so if you're washing your clothing in hard water and you're rinsing it in hard water, you're literally exacerbating skin conditions or skin issues. Our detergents are also really aggressive when it comes to stripping our clothes, the fibers of like good oils that keep the clothes feeling soft. So that's why your clothes get like kind of scratchy. And because people don't like the feel of that, people will then use fabric softeners. Fabric softeners don't necessarily wash away effectively when you put them through the wash because of hard water and detergent not really necessarily always doing the best job being completely rinsed out. And so then you have to start the cycle of you wash it, it gets scratchy, you put fabric softener in, it doesn't get rinsed out, it sits in the clothes, you put it, because you put the fabric softener as like a last thing, and then you kind of rinse it out. And then you put the clothes in the dryer and it kind of cooks the fabric softener into the clothes.
And then you wear the clothes and you can smell everything, you can feel everything, like you can physically feel the fabric softener. And then you wash the clothes again. The detergent doesn't necessarily remove all of the wet fabric softener because again, like the detergent's doing two jobs. It's softening the water and it's trying to clean your clothes. And then you add more fabric softener on top of that, which just kind of gets piled up on top of the old fabric softener. And then we just start this whole cycle again. So basically you're wearing clothes that are completely inundated with like chemicals and scent and fragrance and dyes and fabric softeners.
The way we wash our clothes physically damages our clothes. On top of it all, our detergents don't sanitize our chlothes. Our washing process doesn't sanitize our clothes. Yes, you can use bleach, but chlorine bleach is bad for the environment, it's bad for your skin, and in certain situations, like you can only use it for whites, and in certain situations you can't use it all. Like I live on a septic system, I can't use bleach because it will destroy my septic system. Hot washes only get up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That is not hot enough to actively kill a lot of bacteria. It can kill bacteria, but it ain't boiling, guys, okay? It ain't boiling like our ancestors did. Detergents are comprised of two main ingredients, surfactants and builders. The way a surfactant works is the same thing as soap. It's basically a chemical that will bind itself to the dirt and then you use water to physically wash it away. There's nothing antibacterial in surfactants. It literally is just removing surface stains. Builders do nothing but just help make the surfactants more effective. Then you have dyes and fragrance, which are their own issues altogether. In theory, if you wash your underwear with your t-shirts and you don't wash it on a hot water setting because you can't, because it's gonna ruin like the color of like your t-shirts or your clothes. If you wash your poopy underpants, then you have poopy t-shirts. Skid marks are not required for poopy underpants. So while we might want to hate on our ancestors for, I don't know, not smelling funky or something, at least they sanitized their underwear. At least they had a multi-step system to ensure that their shifts and their shirts, the things that touch their no-no parts, their don't touch me squares, got actually sanitized.
Just the best.
So far out of everything when it comes to sanitization of our clothing and it comes to clothing maintenance, our ancestors were much better about doing laundry than we are. When it comes to our detergents and everything else, we now need to talk about the environmental impact of our laundry. I do think, though, it's safe to say that our modern laundry techniques are much more negative impact on the environment than our ancestors' laundry practices. Water waste is a huge issue today, but in the past where they had access to safer water and they didn't, have microplastics like coming out of the rainwater, we have to be more conscientious about how we use water today.
Hey guys, really quickly want to pop on here. I'm gonna interrupt myself on this one because I'm talking about safer water practices, but obviously like drinking water in the past was an issue. That's not really what I'm talking about here, and I just want to clarify that because I can already hear no, but cholera and stuff. Like, I know that. It's not really what I'm talking about. I guess like what I'm saying more is that like the access to fresh water for laundering practices, I guess, was a gray water, if you will, was like more available. And I think I am still like also talking from like the North American perspective.
I want you all to actually think about how much laundry you do. In our household, which is just 2 adults, we don't have children, it's just 2 adults, we do about 12 loads of laundry a month. If you add kids to that mix, we're talking constant laundry. The most efficient machine, according to the Consumer Reports, is using about 7 gallons of water per load, but the average is anywhere between 7 to 20 gallons of water per load. Before 2010, when we had regulations coming in to use less water in our washing machines were using anywhere between 20 to 50 gallons of water per load. We're using tons of water to do our laundry. It's not even that effective either. When it comes to like the environmental impact of this, like it kind of brings up a conundrum for me, because when I was doing research on this, like I found tons and tons of videos on YouTube about people being like, we're being sustainable and eco-friendly, and so we bought these used washing machines and and they're so much better than the modern washing machines. Well, what's actually the most eco-friendly option? Because there's the debate of like, buying new appliances and wasting money and capitalism and and like the resources used in creating these brand new washing machines. But then if you're using an older machine, 1, they can be harder on your clothes, as we've discussed. 2, they can use upwards to 50 gallons of water per load. What's actually the better option? Like I genuinely don't know the answer to this. I think this is a debate that other people need to have, and this is old, like this research is from 2005. 83% of US households used a tumble dryer and they dried every load of laundry this way. 83%, okay? So tumble dryers are responsible for up to 60% of all energy used in the care stage of a garment, and upwards to 6% of total household energy use. They use either gas or electric to blow extremely hot and dry air into the tumble dryer to dry the clothing. Nowadays, our dryers have sensors on them, and I mean, this goes into also the effectiveness of the dryer, that they will automatically turn off if it senses that the clothes are dry. I think all of us who have had modern dryers can say that the clothes aren't actually dry. But it's literally consuming tons of electricity to blow hot air. For those of you who are not from North America, because I know this is also a Canadian thing as well, who are sitting here right now screaming at your screens going, why don't you all just line dry your clothes? Good question. Did you know that there are actually laws in place in certain parts of our country that ban people from hanging clotheslines? Because they don't like the way it looks, AKA it looks poor. Literally, the sun is free for now. It is efficient in drying the clothes. It is efficient in sanitizing your clothes because it will kill bacteria. And it is efficient in bleaching out your whites, and also line dry clothes smell so damn good. But we are literally banned in certain parts of our country from doing it. Yes, if you are sitting here right now and you are watching this and you're going, oh my God, this is blowing my mind. Laundry is awful. What is the first thing I can do to make this better? The first thing you can do is start drying your clothes, hanging them up to dry. Line drying them in the sun if you can. If not, just hang them up in your bathroom, hang them up somewhere so they can air dry out. It takes a little bit longer, but the nice thing is, pro tip from me, you already have it hanging on the hanger. It's a lot easier to put the clothes away. ADHD pro tip right there. There are huge movements in place to overturn these stupid ass rules because it is so much better for the environment to line dry your clothes. Line drying actually can result in 25% energy savings in each garment's lifetime. Laundry detergents were incredibly bad for the environment. Incredibly bad for the environment. And they are getting marginally better, but we still deal with stuff like heavy fragrances and dyes. Also, you're gonna have to pay more for a better quality, for a better, more eco-friendly detergent. So the barrier of entry is also steeped in income, wealth, and privilege. Surfactants can degrade into toxic chemicals that will pollute the environment. So we are going away from phosphates, finally, but phosphates actually would pollute our waterways, causing algae growth, destroying the oxygen in our water system, and obviously then destroying aquatic life. Dyes and fragrances can have VOCs, which can cause breathing irritation, lung issues. Dyes also, and fragrances too, can irritate the skin. I am someone who is sensitive to dyes and fragrances in my detergents. It's easier to get phosphate-free detergents now. It doesn't mean that they're still not using really harsh chemicals to clean. You don't always see the ingredients listed on detergents. On top of all of that, when we think about what our clothes are made out of, which a lot of our clothes are made out of man-made fabrics at this point, polyester, acetate, nylon. When we're washing our clothing, it's physically being broken down because these garments are not strong when they're wet, and they're made out of plastic material. Like polyester is plastic. And so now we're also allowing microplastics to enter our airways through the vents of the dryer, blowing that hot air out, through our waterways, through the washing process, and the clothes are degrading. And dry cleaning is not a valid option either. Dry cleaning is also wretched for the environment. The chemical used in modern dry cleaning is called perchloroethylene, and it is a VOC that is both an air pollutant, a water contaminant, and has been connected to cancer in those who use it. Isn't that great? That's awesome. We love that. Dry cleaning is not eco-friendly. It actively hurts people. It's also expensive. Like, it's not a valid option for people all the time. Like, that's what you do for like special things, right? It's not a valid day-to-day option. Literally, like when I started this researching for this video, I just wanted to kind of like explain like why like boiling our linens was better, but then like uncovering all of the about laundry, like modern laundry practices, has honestly just kind of wrecked me a little bit because one, I'm just horrifically grossed out. But two, I'm just like, I'm frustrated because we literally are in a cycle that is really hard for people to break as individuals. And some of us are doing it, but it's really, really hard because our laundry practices are so intricately tied to our clothing consuming practices, and how we view our clothing affects how we launder our clothing, and it's this horrible cycle of waste. I'm sure there are, so those of you out there like watching this right now going, okay, Abby, well this is all great and I'm thoroughly grossed out. Thank you so much. What do we do now? And I'm like, I don't know. I think things have to change. I think the way that we launder our clothing and we view our clothing and we treat our clothing has to change. But one of the only ways we can do that is if we acknowledge and we start paying real prices for the clothing, for our clothing, and people make fair wages. Oh, here we go. You know, it's all tied in. It's all this circle. I have temporary options, but I want to install a permanent laundry line on my property somewhere where it can get a decent amount of sun, but also like I'm not showing my underwear to like mark my neighbor. I have started looking into ensuring that I have linen underclothes to act as a barrier between my body and my fashionable clothing. So that way my fashionable clothing, like this dress that I got from Voyage, that I can protect it better. Another thing is go ahead and making sure that I have a bottle of vodka or Everclear in my laundry.
2 shots of vodka.
This is a theater trick, but it is actually really efficient when it comes to sanitizing your clothes. If you're using a really high alcohol proof, like grain alcohol like vodka or Everclear, you can put in a spray bottle and spray your clothes with that, and that will help kill bacteria. It's a little bit more cost effective with the whole alcohol and sun process, but it could be like a good thing. You know, it could be maybe a fairly easy, more accessible step forward, right? But like, how much privilege do I have to be able to make those decisions? Like, there's so many layers of like privileges and barriers to entry to be able to do this, and I just think the whole thing is hard. So with that, my friends, I'm sorry I ruined your lives with this video, but I hope that you did find it interesting. If you guys have any thoughts about ways to kind of make laundry better, to, you know, sanitize our clothes or like leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe too if you haven't already. I upload every other Sunday. And with that, my friends, I'll see you all next time. And no poopy t-shirts. And my voice is fried.